ready, steady aim at the target. I'm flooding the market, a break from the garbage. An artist, sensitive about mind pardon. No margin for error, flawless be rarer. The black cat goddess, you walking with a panther. Painting these pictures with words like cement.
Hey, it's your girl, Madam Money, aka Trap, and welcome to the official Salt in the Game album review of Jay Electronica's Act 2, Patents of Nobility, the turn. Make sure you hit that like button, make sure you hit the subscribe button, and let's get it. Now, guys, who would have thought that we would be getting this album in 2020? Like, dog, I want to salute everybody who put their money together to pay $9,000 to unleash this upon the fucking world, because I'm freaking out about this being leaked out. And like, dog, I haven't been so excited for a leaked album probably for fucking ever, to be honest. I know I ask all the time, what's your favorite leaked album and stuff like that. If this is not hitting on your list right now, I don't know what to tell you. For those of us that are fortunate enough to have heard it, you feel me, we're gonna go through all of this. He also says on Twitter that he is trying to get all the samples cleared on this album so that it does be released on streaming services. Now, if we get that on streaming services, like an official project, bringing his total projects of the year to 2 projects, this and like a written testimony, dog, I don't even know where to begin, because this album is so crazy to me. Like, dog, Act 1, you know, this is how he like got into the game, got his success, you know, with such just like this short 15-minute thing that caused this commotion because of how it was produced and how it was so streamless and seamless when it came down to a body of work. But this right here, this is running like alongside some crazy things going on here. So let's get right into it, because like, dog, I'm so excited about this. So it starts off with the track called Real Magic, featuring Ronald Reagan, dog. This track is like really much like a technology versus the natural nature of things, and he plays into both of these concepts and worlds and how they interact and intertwine with each other, and how, you know, one may not be good for the other one. So I did appreciate him taking that type of approach on, you know, the album 8 years ago at the height of everybody getting introduced to social media and all these other things that's going on. The whole album actually plays into this. That's why it's called Patents of Nobility, because in order to patent something, it has to be like, you know, a thing. You know, you could patent ideas and all of this stuff too, but he plays into it as we go along in the album. I'll show you those points where he does point them out a little bit better. Then this track came on, New Illuminati. Short track, 1 minute 30 seconds long. And like, this man, like, choice of words and his thought process behind things is so crazy, because he's talking directly to you, but the things he's saying is always so layered. You have to take a moment back and just appreciate that type of shit, for real though. Point on here, he said, he played into the Bible verse where he said Jesus wept, and then he said, like the Lord say, I'm gonna make the song fire. Him and Ye told y'all pussies watch your throne wide. And it's like, dog, so he's referring to Hov as the Lord in this track, and he shows his pays homage to Hov throughout this whole project as well. He also pays homage to Big on this track too. Quick Fast Like Ramadan is the rap phenomenon, even though he throws a couple other schemes in the mix of that, but that's off of Biggie's Kick in the Door, which was Biggie's self-reference off of the track Rap Phenomenon with Redman and Method Man. Let's go. He also makes reference on this track to the New World Order, and like, you know, it's the new world order. All the theories was right, and it kind of made me think about Jesus. Now, don't get me wrong here, because there's a couple of points in here where I'm looking at Kanye kind of suspect for all of this around this time period, because on New Slaves, you know, he said they'll confuse us with some bullshit like the New World Order, but like, you know, Jay Electronica is playing into that, like, yeah, we are that. Yeah, we are this thing that y'all are calling us out to be. And it's crazy, like, you know, the rap New Illuminati. He also says Illuminati on here, which is a Tupac reference on there. Just so many little pieces on that one little track. It is crazy and amazing to me. We have the title track on here, Patents of Nobility. It's like a commercial for the Dick Tracy tech, like the intercom watch from back in the day. You feel like way back before all of our days. You feel me? That's another thing I want to point out when it comes down to Jay Electronica. He goes through time periods, and it's like this. He knows how to do this shit where he plays into like the hysteria of the past or something like Water Worlds, and then like the first thing on here, like Dick Tracy's the first communication watch where you could be in another room and doing this, and I have to be tied down with each other doing these type of things, similar to what we go through now. So he played into the first commercialization of like wireless technology on just putting the damn commercial on the album. I thought that shit was just so genius. All right, the next track on here, Life on Mars. As you know, that Mars is his daughter that he had with Erykah Badu. So he's, you know, playing into his relationship with her, whatever have you. By the time this dropped, his daughter was like 4 or 5 years old. Well, by the time it was supposed to drop, you feel me? And then he just talking about that, which was nice to see. This like Life on Mars, paying homage to his kid, and it's just showing you like his view of things have changed up a little bit. Like, so that was a dope little joint. And then this track came on here, Bonnie and Clyde. And I'm gonna tell you, because I saw the track listing, I was looking at the track listing before I got a chance to actually hear the track. So when I saw the name Bonnie and Clyde, I'm like, okay, like, you know, he's gonna pay homage to Pac on here, Bonnie and Clyde 97. He's gonna, like, you know, play around with Jay-Z, Beyonce's Bonnie and Clyde 03. But it came on, and it's featuring Serge Gainsbourg, which is a French singer, as we find out listening to this track or whatever. He takes an official concept that we have in hip-hop of this Bonnie and Clyde type thing. We had 1,000 references to it. Like I said, two of our brightest stars in the game have already made this type of track, like Bonnie and Clyde, and he takes the most, like, not obscure, because they are famous in its own right, the singers on here. Like, he just takes this reference that nobody fucking knows about, thinks about, really have heard from an era that is like way before everybody's time, and it's in French, and you're digging it. You're digging every minute of it. Like, this is one of the standout tracks on here for me, because this dude, he starts just spitting, and this is what he does. He kicks it off saying, I'm swimming in like Mahoney and Cocoon. Like, so that's a movie reference, the movie Cocoon. That's why I said, was, so when he draws some of these references and stuff, and it made me think about all y'all fucking haters out there that was trying to say a written testimony sounded dated. Y'all was trying to say like he just took these tracks that was supposed to come out and put on that. Like, no, dog. He is one of these artists that uses those type of references, and if it's important in pop culture, period, it doesn't have a date on it. You can make reference to whenever and update it and bring it to this whole different level. Y'all really thought on a written testimony like he wasn't in there writing out new work alongside Hov. Like, this has been one of those things that bother me about it, and why y'all don't place a written testimony higher on your albums for 2020. Like, shit is crazy. He said, peace to the Jizza, no beef with the RZA. Tell Flex to drop an atom bomb on this and shit. I understand what's going on here. He also refers to himself as young professor, the black young professor, Black Tesla. And that's just like crazy to me, because he's on this whole different type of wavelength. Like, this man's mind is crazy. Then he goes into a track, Dinner at Tiffany's, and that's just like one of these interlude tracks. Is actually the guy's daughter, Charlotte Gainsbourg, from the track, the Bonnie and Clyde track, Surge. That's his daughter. So when this thing happens in here, it reminded me of how seamless Act 1 was, and how Act 1 changed its tone and stuff through these little emphases like that. So he still was playing into Act 1, what actually got him the deal, got him there. And throughout this album too, like he bigs up Rock Nation so much. Like he is so happy for the opportunity to do this. Just so I'm like, just for all these years later, like this to sit on the shelf and we're just getting it, or we're just getting a debut album from him all these years later, when he seemed super excited about his deal throughout this whole project. But Dinner at Tiffany's, that's one of those interlude tracks that goes into the Shiny Suit Theory, one of those tracks we've heard, you know, for years now. You feel me? It's also on the Written Testimony. Y'all didn't like that, but look how well that played in here, and how like well it played into the Written Testimony too. So it's like this thing going on with him where his music like is coming across real just seamless across all these things, even though he has not too much of a body of work that you could lean into, but you can see the thought process behind the production on all of these things. Like these are just well thought out processes, and I'm not even mad when somebody could take their time and do something like that and make it all full circle. That's just like really, really dope to me. All right, the next track on here, Memories of Merlot. Okay, and this is very reflective on his mom's teaching him about religion and all of these things on here. But he makes a reference to an opera, and I'm gonna fuck the name up, smooth up of it. But the song that he makes a reference to, what he says is Una Fluva Lagrima, or whatever, on the box, while Merlot is in the glass. Like, you know, that's something that used to come on, like, I don't know, like New York niggas know PBS and shit like that. I don't know what, like, or like Jersey niggas, it would be Channel 12Y or whatever. I don't know where it's at, where you was from, but back in the day and shit, they used to play a lot of shit like that over the weekend and throughout the week. You know, like Masterpiece Theater and all of this shit like that. They would play these operas, and this is a song on one of these operas. It was called, it's called Elixir of Love. All right, and this is Act 2 from the Elixir of Love, and it starts off with Luciano Pavarotti. I don't know if y'all familiar with him. I know Aretha Franklin had took over for him at one of these operas, and it made a big deal. You might recently have seen clips of Whitney Houston singing opera, and he is one of the three tenors. He is one of these guys that's famous in the opera world, if you're not familiar with it. But I just thought, like, look at how worldly this dude really is. Like, look how worldly this dude really is, that he is making opera references about stuff, and it's like still Act 2 of the fucking thing. Like, my mind start getting blown doing this shit. I ain't even gonna lie to you, like, dog, my mind started getting blown on air. Better in Tune with the Infinite, featuring LaToya Givens. He shows that same doubt that he had in himself that he showed us on a Written Testimony. With those tracks when it's like, you know, I'm up writing, and I want to make sure it's good enough, and I look in the mirror and I want to make sure that it's good enough because I can't handle the scrutiny and stuff like that. That's why when he said, like, dog, y'all making me cry on Twitter when this shit leaked out, I believe him. I believe he's very sensitive in that respect when it comes down to his art form, because he doesn't think that everybody is going to get it, and that's one of these things why it's taking so long to get the work from him. But that was really dope. But I just seen, like, you know, it's a whole 8 years later, he still feels that same way, where he's like really self-conscious about his work. So, you know, I appreciate just a little bit of vulnerability between those two tracks, Memories and Merlot, and Better in Tune with the Infinite. Then it's a track on here, Letter to Fallon. All right, this is a motivational track. This is one of these things, just keep going, keep pushing. You feel me? About how he never changed his style, how he never changed his way up. He would never switch up what he does. He would never switch up his message on here. And I like, it's crazy because it's a part on here. He says, 2020 hindsight is so euphoric. Nobody can stop your progress because unknown forces move some known objects. And it's like, dog, you saying 2020 hindsight is so euphoric, and you dropped your debut album in 2020, and then your album that was supposed to leak actually dropped in 2020. And by this part of the fucking thing, like, I was done. it was a wrap for me, kid. Like, I wasn't good for nobody because I'm sitting there and I'm like, what is going on here? But he keeps me into it every step of the fucking way. He also shouts out Broad Street and Allegheny. Shout out all my North Philly niggas, you feel me? And he talking about, you know, pushing the final call out there and now switching his message up just to show you, like, he does what he says he does. This is him 100%. So, man, like I said, that shit, this is where I start, like, going real crazy. I'm like, dog, these, like, hindsight 2020 and 20, dog. So next up here, Road to Perdition. That was another lead track with Jay-Z on it. He says on here, this is just the memoirs with no omissions. And he says another part on here too. He said, feel how the zeitgeist feels. And again, I had to think about when's the last time I heard somebody use the word zeitgeist on a track. And that was Kanye West, Yeezus. You feel me? Papa Willie on the zeitgeist on the song I'm In It. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, Yeezus came out in 2013. This came out in 2012. Watch His Throne came out in 2011. So we got this block of time and space, and I was like, did Kanye make Yeezus because he knew that some shit like this was like coming out or about to come out, or what? Because it's just like too many inferences, like looking back later, that all of this work came before then, and now like it's making mention on something that was supposed to happen at that same time frame. Like dog, I told you that track Letter to Fallon really opened up my fucking third eye. You know how I get down? I didn't see it today. There we go. When it came down to this stuff, and I was like, Kanye West, you bitch, you. I was like, you was around this man, y'all was working together. This was when everything was still solid with the whole team over there. And like, dog, like, did you ride this man's wave, his consciousness wave for Yeezus, which is an album that's totally out of place in his discography, one that I stand behind 100%, like 1000%. I'm Yeezus gang. Like, I'm the queen of Yeezus gang, because some of the messages he do have on there is so important and so like just imperative to have been put out there by a major artist. And I know y'all don't respect some of the sound involved because he switches his sound up, but when you have like knowledge or you're behind the scenes on somebody making a project like this, and then you switch your style up a little bit and it's reminiscent to what is going on here with me, alright, man. Alright, so the next track on here was called Welcome to Knightsbridge. Alright, and like, he uses the whole references on this track. I've like first of all, let me just cut the bullshit. Did he try to shoot his shot at Kate Middleton, you feel me, Prince William's wife, on this track? This, when I first heard that, I was like, you know what, this is why this album couldn't come out, because he talking real greasy against all of these, you know, nobility. So, but he's keeping into the theme of what he got going on here. I'm just like, dog, you can't even say that type of stuff you saying. Again, he mentions like, this is the Rock Nation Jay Electronica extravaganza. He also like compares himself to MJ, and if you saw MJ, you know, with the glove and the socks, you would cry in your popcorn and shit like that. That's what he's saying on there. He also makes a Biggie reference on this again. What's your name, what's your sign? But he's saying, what's your name, what's your size? Like, what size sneakers is those? And everybody who's real knows that when somebody's telling you that, they're trying to see so they can fucking rob you. I thought that was really, really crazy as hell. The next track on here, and this is where some of this stuff starts sounding like unfinished really, or like thought out, or projects that sat on the shelf, was Conveniently Rough Love. And the sound on this didn't necessarily go with the rest of this album for me. And be it that we don't have Kanye West's verse on here, I think Kanye was scared to rap with this nigga. I don't know if the verse like exists or whatever have you, because I think if it did, we would have it here. But this is the part again where I'm like, yo, this is some sucker shit was going on around this time with Kanye and this guy here. Like, undoubtedly, once Jay Electronica got into whole Kanye's like realm and stuff like that, that they started upping the ante on them being more like conscious too. Even though Kanye is one of our most, outspoken, even though it's not consciousness all the time. Like, he's one of our most outspoken artists. But this track right here, not having his verse on here, and it was supposed to, and it sounded so out of place on this, it actually sounded like it could go on Jesus, if y'all paying attention to this. So I know what the fuck is going on here, dog, but still entertained all the way through this fucking album. Number 14, Night of the Round Table. And it starts off with Jay-Z having a description of the genres of music, and maybe we should strip it away because they're all the same thing, even though it's different genres. I don't know how high he was that day to make that type of statement, but I think separation between genres is good, even though the emotional place that it comes from might be, the same place. I think it's always good to let you know where exactly it's coming from, so you don't get hemmed up into something that ain't necessarily for you, to be honest with you. And you know what? Even on this, because this is like a reference track, this lets you get into the thought process of how he actually works. So he starts off really strong with the bars he's saying is very strong in the beginning, and then he like loses it. He starts scatting and little rhyming to himself, trying to pick the freestyle up. But that lets me know it's a freestyle. And I'm like, if this is how he works, again, like, okay, he's showing you like he might need a second to get it together in there, but the next part comes through, he picks it up right where he's left it off at and saying what he have to say. Like something like this is even better than a lot of shit I fucking heard this year, dog, because you see the level where he could really spit at, and you understand that, and yo, a lot of this shit probably is not written down. They're not written. He's going in there off the top of his head with whatever concept that he have, and he's spitting these bars to you, and even if he need a second to get it together, he's still not writing this shit down. And I thought that was very, very dope, just for like to hear like the rawness of what goes on in his mind in the studio, and you see it play out in real time. So I thought that was dope. The next track on here, Running High, featuring the Bullets. That's one of these tracks, facing yourself. You gotta face yourself, who you are, and deal with who you are. You feel me? You can't not deal with yourself. At the end of the day, you gotta deal with who you are. And it closes off the track with a beat called 10,000 Lotus Petals. And it's lotus flower, and the reference to 10,000 lotus petals is an idea about pure consciousness. That's where that is stemming from. So it's about chakras being aligned to a form of pure consciousness, which I don't know what he was gonna spit over there, so whatever have you, but just to be there himself with a thought process behind that. Like I said, just like 1,000 lotus petals. Anybody who's into that stuff or knows that stuff knows that means just like the purest level of consciousness there is. But dog, like, yo, I want to ask you two questions though before I get out of here, because like this shit's just crazy to me, right? Would this have been impactful if it dropped in 2020 and like one of like the high points of trap music, the beginning of that trap sound? Would this have made an impact in 2020 as it probably is making right here in 2020? Will it make it a impact in 2012 like it probably does here in 2020 in real time? Would it have made that impact, even though he was anticipated and everybody was want to see what he had? Would it have had the type of impact that it can have right here, right now? And it's not even a finished piece of work. So it being finished, do you think it could have had that same type of impact in 2012? What do you think about that? Like, let's see some of y'all ideas and y'all thoughts about that. Make sure y'all leave it in the comments below. But dog, like, yo, this was just so dope. Just a dope surprise for hip-hop, period, just to get out the clear blue sky. And like, I hope that this dispels some of those other things that y'all have going on with a written testimony, because this shit ties into a written testimony so well. Like, you could tell he's like just this subversive guy with so much knowledge that could really, really put these type of things well into perspective. And let me really know what you think about my Kanye, like, little take on this whole shit, because it's something up with that shit. Like, for real, and I want to know what you think about it. But I'm about to get out of here. I'm Madam Money. You can follow me on Twitter at Madam Money Says. That's MADAMMONEYSAYS, as well as IG. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you know what I mean? Let's get the conversations going on here. But dog, just a fine body of work with so much replay value. Like, y'all gonna be listening to this for a while. So me too. Peace.
Music make it 7:30.